Welcome to the Real Turf Techs podcast for the technician that wants to get real. Follow along as we talk to industry professionals and address hot topics that we all face. Along the way, we'll learn tips and tricks. I'm your host, Trent Manning. Let's have some fun. Welcome to the Real Turf Techs podcast, episode 142. Today, we're talking to Chris Snyder, equipment manager at Mount Hawley Country Club in Peoria, Illinois. Mount Hawley is a private 18-hole course that sits on 110 acres next to Peoria Lake. Chris got a new shop in 2009. He is the lone tech in the shop in the summertime. He has mostly Toro equipment with easy-go carts. Let's talk to Chris. Welcome, Chris, to the Real Turf Techs podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, we're going to have fun. We'll start right off. Tell us how you got into the turf industry.
My whole mechanic background, I guess, too, started with motorcycles back when I was a teenager. And then that kind of grew into love with automobile right after that. So I did some automotive courses. So we were fortunate enough to have a couple classes given to us at high school. So went through that. And then I was like, okay, this is looking pretty good. So ended up going to college, got a degree in applied science for the automotive industry. And while I was going through college, we'd have our internships, and that ended up being at the Peoria Park District.
Okay.
So my internship was spent there, and that was just basically the perk side of it. After graduating from college, went back to Peoria Park District, worked with their parks for a while. And they had, at the time, 5 golf courses they took care of.
Oh, wow.
And one of the guys retired. There was 2 guys taking care of those 5 golf courses. And one of the guys retired. And they said, hey, Chris, you want to go over to this department? And I was like, okay, Lou, I'll give it a try. So I worked there for about a year and a half or so. I worked on golf equipment. Then a job happened to come open at Mount Hawley. And ended up getting that job as the mechanic there. That was in, I believe it was 92.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And obviously still there. So, through the years, it's really grown on me. And, the first few years, it's like, okay, I'm turning right shows and stuff like this. As the whole industry started to kind of change, and that, people were, I guess, more demands on the equipment, more demand, as far as variability of the golf course and stuff. And a lot of that started to intrigue me a little bit more, because I really wasn't planning on staying there. I had a 3-year plan. It turned into a 30-year plan.
Yeah, yep.
But
you're not the only one, man. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
I remember John Patterson, he said the same thing. He's like, I'll try this for a little while, and then I'll find something better.
Yeah, exactly.
We got a guy on our crew. He's a super good operator. And he said that he was kind of in between jobs, and he seen the ad in the newspaper or whatever. He's like, I'll work there until I can find something better, over the winter. He's been in construction work his whole life. He's like, I'll work the winter, construction's kind of slow. Anyway, I'll find something in the spring. And he's been there 11 years.
There you go.
Just hooked him in.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, my first impression was, well, I'm going to be working on weed eaters and push mowers all day long. And, well, it's nothing of the sort, You're definitely a lot more in-depth than just your regular yard mower and weed eater, If, getting mowers to cut at, 110, 120 and getting everything even and true. And it's kind of fun and at the same time rewarding when you go out and take a look at your green and you're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And that's awesome. How have you been able to keep the passion that I see you have, about setting mowers up and mowing grass, and after doing it for this many years.
I mean, there's definitely times you kind of scratch your head with you like, gosh, do I really want to do this another 5, 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, just like opportunities like right now, really kind of perks your interest up again, It's kind of an emotional lift, I guess, of sorts. It's like, oh, yeah, hey, this is bigger than just me. So
Oh, yeah.
that really makes me want to dig in a little bit more. So there's definitely times that, I don't know if I want to do this tomorrow. But
Oh, yeah.
then,
Yep.
it all comes in around in a circle and it's like, okay, come back. Here we go.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I mean, we all have those days for sure. Like, wow, do I want to do this again tomorrow? And then, tomorrow's a new day. So yeah, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Well, I'm glad you stuck with it this long. That's awesome. That's a
Me
great
too.
10-year.
I really enjoy the job. Like I said, it's really rewarding when you go out there and take a tour of the course and like everything's clicking and it's like, all right, we did it today. Let's do it again tomorrow.
Yep. What's been some of your challenges? You kind of let in to higher expectations.
Yeah.
What's been some of the challenges with that?
Probably the biggest challenge was I probably went, I don't know, approximately 10 years without a grinder.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yep.
So spent a lot of time backlapping. And obviously that's, a band-aid of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And, we always send our reels off in the winter to get ground and, always start the season off great. And as it goes along with your top dressing or all this, everything just goes downhill after that. Fortunately, one of our distributors, our Toro distributor, during this time frame, came up with the idea of some mobile grinding.
Okay.
So that definitely helped us out. We'd have them about mid-season come in and grind everything so that we were good for another month or so, but still had that need for some sharp reels and bed knives because, lapping only gets you so far.
Right.
So we ended up, fortunately, we were able to get a new maintenance building built. And in that process, we were able to purchase some grinder.
Oh, nice.
So that was a huge relief. And just being able to keep everything true and sharp and at its peak, was really a load off my shoulders.
Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yep. Very good. Can we pause 1 minute?
Yep.
I'm sorry to do this, but my daughter just called me.
Oh, no.
And she never calls me. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everything's okay.
You better take that.
Yeah, so I'm going to send her a text and just make sure. Let her know what I'm doing. Yeah, she's 17, and she's supposed to be working right now.
Oh.
So, let's see what she says. All right.
Hopefully.
What's your least favorite part of the job?
Least favorite? Getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, the early morning.
Yeah, those early mornings like that can be a bit rough, but, you do it long enough, you kind of get adjusted and get used to it, but, it's still 4 o'clock in the morning no matter what.
Yep. And then you do the same thing on the weekends. You can't sleep in probably.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Usually up by 5 anyway, and it's like, oh gosh, come on. I want to sleep.
Yep. Yeah, that makes it tough for sure.
It does.
What's your favorite tool?
Our favorite tool, boy, I put a lot of thought into this, and it's like I walked around the shop, opened up some drawers, and I'm just like, I like this, and right now, I would have to say it's probably my Milwaukee grease gun.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I love that thing. I had some pneumatics and then, of course, the old hand pump, a couple other cordless ones. But the Milwaukee is really a game changer for me when it comes to greasing. It's got the little shoulder straps. You can hold it right there on your side and you can have your hands free.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Doing whatever. It's got a long hose on it, so you're not trying to adjust your grease gun all at the same time, trying to get in there to dirt that's tucked away. But yeah, I think the old grease gun And I really enjoy here lately.
That's awesome. Do you have the lock and lube coupler on the end?
No, I do not. No.
Are you familiar with it?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
I'm a big fan of the lock and lube.
I've seen them and I've kind of considered them, but I just haven't bit the bullet yet.
Yeah, every grease gun I got's got the lock and lube on it now. I fell in love with it. It does a good job of holding it on there. And so in our WhatsApp group, Chris Hyman actually asked the question because he had a little money in his budget to spend and wanted to get a cordless grease gun. And hands down, the Milwaukee won everybody chimed in, Milwaukee. There was a few people that had the DeWalt, and I think the main reason they had the DeWalt is they already had some of the DeWalt batteries and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they went,
really.
and that makes sense. But yeah, I'm a big Milwaukee fan. Hope to reach out and see if they want to sponsor this podcast.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep, that would be very cool. What do you do to relax or find your balance?
Oh, to relax.
Is there such thing? Do you relax ever?
I mean, to an extent, outside of spending time with the kids, watching TV, movies, and stuff like that, I like to play video games.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, little Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm rejuvenated.
Okay, nice. That's awesome. Video games is definitely a way just to, check out.
You do, yes.
You can
absolutely.
just, get so focused in on what you're doing and, forget all the world problems.
Yep, well.
Yep, that's good stuff. What's been one of your biggest challenges to date?
Oh, biggest challenges, gosh. Probably keeping the sand off your dreams.
Have you figured out how to do that?
I don't
Let
know.
everybody in on your secret there.
No, that's an ongoing battle. Gosh dang, probably communication. Trying to keep communication between the staff and me, getting them to be able to come to me and say, hey, this broke. Instead of just parking it and walking away from it, and then the next day we're like, oh gosh, what happened? Just trying to get those guys to, your accidents happen, things break. Just trying to get that mentality into some of them has been a challenge. I don't know, they feel like they're going to get in big trouble or what, but, if it's something big, if they're playing bumper cars with golf carts out there, then yeah, it's going to be a problem, but,
Right.
accidents happen, and, I try to keep that mentality as long as I can. Obviously, if it keeps on happening, then there's something else that we need to dig a little deeper into what's going on, but just trying to keep that communication open to the employees that let's communicate this stuff, let me know something's broke, something's not running right, but let me know and we'll go from there.
Yeah, because it's one of the most frustrating things when, you just find something broke in the back of the shop or
Yeah.
small equipment room or whatever it is. And that's the last time we want to be working on something is when we actually need it.
Exactly.
Let us know beforehand.
Yeah, you try to be proactive, and that kind of sets you back.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something I think everybody struggles with.
I'm sure.
No matter how you handle it. And yeah, a lot of mechanics have over the years definitely has got a bad name for theirself, getting angry with people and all that stuff. And I'm not condoning it, but I definitely understand it because we're getting bad news all day long.
Yep.
It's like, bring me some good news for once, tell me something works really good for a change instead of telling me I run over something and I broke this or I broke that. Or definitely one of my pet peeves is working on shop tools. So like, whether it be the grinder or, whatever in the shop that, I need this tool to do this job and the tool broke.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to work on that.
That's my pet peeves as far as tool usage and putting stuff back. Need to borrow something, let me know.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't mind you if you got to borrow a hammer, wrench, whatever, that's fine. But let me know. If you don't know where it goes, say, I set it on the workbench. I don't know where it went. Just let you know it's back.
Yeah, exactly. Because when they put it in the wrong drawer, it's lost.
Yes.
Until you happen to see it
Exactly.
again.
Yep. Yep.
It's definitely misplaced, and you'll be looking all over for it. And yeah, I'm very fortunate where I'm at because I do have a couple guys that help me in the shop. But on the other hand, it can be extremely frustrating because I have a spot that I want everything, and it's not the same spot they want everything.
Right.
And that can be kind of frustrating too.
I'm sure.
And like, who used this last? Who put it in this drawer? It's never been in this drawer.
Why would you put it there? I think it goes up here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, that's a good problem to have. What's one of the strangest things you've seen at work?
Gosh. I'll go with the frog one I got. We had a seasonal guy who mowed fairways. And in 1 week, he put the fairway mower in the lake twice.
In 1 week?
There's 2 different lakes. The first lake has a pretty big embankment, so he kind of backed up, had some dew on there, he slid, and he went in, I get that. That's fine. Later in the week, he got stuck in another pond, and it was a pond that really wasn't anywhere he should have been.
Yeah. Not close to the fairway?
Like, what are you doing over here? He's like, well, you're not going to believe it, but I'm driving along, and I'm looking down, and I see these frogs. So I'm just kind of driving along, watching these frogs, and before I know it, I'm in the lake. And I'm just like,
yeah, you can't make that up.
oh, no. I had nothing. I'm just like, well, let's not look at the frogs anymore. And
Oh boy.
let's pay a little bit more attention to the job at hand.
How do you keep a straight face?
Oh, you don't.
When you say,
You would get mad at him, so here's, okay.
yeah, that's pretty funny.
Fortunately, the engine wasn't submerged or anything like that. He had 2 wheels in, and one of the outside reels was down in the water. But beyond that, it's like, okay.
No major damage.
No more frog watching for you.
Yeah. That's the frog watcher. Oh, that's a good one. That's one of the better ones I think we've heard on the podcast. And it reminds me, are you familiar with the 450D, the Toro 450D? All right, so we had a 450D back in the day, this like mid-90s. And we had this operator, that was our fairway mower, one of our fairway mowers. And we had this operator that drove it into a tree on the cart path, or, next to the cart path or whatever.
Right.
And, almost ripped one of the side units off. And so anyway, they asked him what happened, and he said a rabbit ran out in front of him. So he swerved to miss the rabbit, with this 450. I mean, and for the listeners, if you don't know what a 450D is, look it up. It later changed to 4500D, a 5-gang fairway mower with 27-inch reels. I mean, they were big reels. And if you've never adjusted the center cutting unit on a 450 or 4500, can you really say you're a golf course technician?
Exactly.
Exactly. Because, man, that was no fun. Oh, those things are a beast. That was one machine I was not disappointed to see it go.
Oh, I bet.
Do you have any mentors in the industry?
Mentors in the industry, gosh.
Or maybe in your personal life?
Well, I would have to definitely, the guy that got me going on all this was probably my dad.
Okay, yeah.
Through the years, through my teen years, and, well, for as long as I can remember, my dad always was a preventative maintenance guy. Preventative maintenance was his number one go-to every time we were ever working on anything, from the Volkswagen Beetle up to my motorcycles, up to, vans and trucks. And, you preach, changing oil, changing plug, keeping it clean, on and on. And obviously through my younger years, I just kind of, whatever, Dad.
Right.
But, as time goes and you're working on stuff, if that 10, 15-minute job of preventive maintenance, save you 2-3 hours later on down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's really stuck with me through the years is, take care of it, change your oil, fluids, filters, grease it, stay on top of it, and you treat it right, it's going to treat you right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good, great stuff to live by for sure.
You know, this is also coming from a man who built an airplane in his garage. So,
Oh, wow. How
yeah,
cool is that?
him and my uncle did that. It took them about 4.5 years, but they got it done. And I wouldn't say I really took part in it, but I kind of did, but nothing in the structural integrity or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
of the airplane, but it was quite an experience to live through, that's for sure.
Oh, no, that sounds like, yeah, a super cool experience. So, I mean, was it, every night or every, few nights and on the weekends they're
Well,
working on
mostly
this thing?
weekends, a few nights here and there, but a lot of weekends were consumed by the family getting together, working on the airplane. So yeah, there was about 4.5 years of nothing but airplane.
Wow. Okay. And so I'm assuming they did it Johnny Cash style, one piece at a time.
One
And
piece at a time.
yeah, I love it, man. Yep. I've lived my life that way for quite a while, one piece at a time.
Yep,
Save your money up so you can afford this or that. And yeah, it's good stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. So did you get to fly in it?
Yeah, I have flown it, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Awesome.
that was, let's see, I think they finished it in the early 80s. So, I mean, he still has the plane. But yeah, I mean, I've never done takeoffs or landings, but up in the sky, yeah,
Hmm.
float around a little bit.
That's so cool. So
Yeah.
cool for something, yeah, that was built right there in the backyard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that is super cool. Supercharge course maintenance with Task Tracker, the leading golf course maintenance software in the industry. Built for precision and efficiency, Task Tracker simplifies daily operations, optimizes water usage, and keeps your team on track. With real time updates and streamlined workflows, it's the essential tool for modern superintendents. Learn more at www.clubessentials.com/task tracker. Let's get back to the episode. Well, what would be your dream job or opportunity?
Dream job. Gosh, I've always wanted to have my own shop.
Okay. What would you be
Mm.
working on in this shop?
Basically, whatever anybody wanted me to. I mean, it would be more of a benefit for friends and family and friends of friends. Obviously, it's a process that I would probably have to win the lottery to do because it would be like, hey, you buy the part, bring it in, let's do this
Okay. Yeah.
kind of thing. I guess it sounds like fun to me, if even down to the single parent, yeah, I got this car, I gotta get it fixed, I ain't got the money, well, bring it in, we'll fix it.
Yeah. No, that would
Kind
be
of
super cool.
attitude and
Yeah.
experience, but like I said, I'd have to win the lottery in order to fund something like that. But I think there'd be a lot of satisfaction to come out of that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you're helping others, right?
Right,
So, yeah.
right.
And that is so rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be super cool. And something, yeah, very valuable to do with your time.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good one. Do you have a technician you would like to work with for a day?
I suppose Hector would probably be one of the guys I'd like to work with.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
A few years back, he was doing I don't remember what he called it. He would come to guys' shops and record and kind of do what we're doing right now. Interview
Yeah.
the mechanic and superintendent and stuff, and kind of do a walkthrough of the shop. And well, he was speaking to my superintendent at the time, and he was just happened to be passing through, so he ended up stopping at the shop.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know, it was like the first or second episode or something that he was doing, and had his camera guy, which I believe was his boy, and they're filming us, and like I said, just kind of doing what we're doing right now, but we're walking through the shop and showing him around all at the same time. So it was pretty cool to meet him and have him there at the shop and be able to speak to him one-on-one for the most part. So,
No,
yeah,
that's super
that'd
cool.
be
Yeah,
very
was
cool.
it Hector's shop on tour or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that was so cool when he was doing that. Yeah,
Yep.
that was, and I don't remember. I brought it come up the other day. I was talking to somebody, and he had, I think, 8 kids
Yeah,
at
he
the
had quite a
time when
few.
he was doing that. And man, how do you do that? That had to be
No,
so stressful, I would think, at times,
absolutely.
especially with little kids and stuff.
Those kids are a
Um,
full-time job in themselves.
right. But more power to him. No, that was super cool
Yeah.
that he's doing that. And I think he's still doing some tech training and
I
stuff
think
like
so,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's super cool. What do you know now you wish you'd known on day one?
Oh, boy. A lot. A lot. Probably kind of a generic answer, I guess, would be kind of patience and mostly patience, because I've had superintendents, that, hey, we got to get this going now. We got to get going now. We got to get it going now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you hear that 3 or 4 times and it kind of builds up like, okay, I got to get going. And you may not have the parts on hand at that time. And, they're on you, hey, how long is this part going to take? Well, I don't know when they get it shipped out and get it here,
Right. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you try to work around some of that stuff the best you can. And anymore, I don't want to say I ignore that stuff because that's furthest sight from it, but I'm able to deal with it a lot better than what I used to because it would really stress me out, a
Yep.
lot. Oh my gosh, I can't get this going. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
lose my job.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that,
I think we can definitely put too much pressure on ourselves really easily in situations like that. And don't get me wrong, a lot of times our supervisors or managers can put
yep.
that stress on us too. And I mean, I'm guilty. I put stress on people
Oh
before
yeah.
for no reason.
Yep.
I don't know, I tend to put more stress on myself than most people would put on
Yep.
me, but definitely something to be aware of. And I do think with age, some of that gets easier. Like, this is not the end of the world.
Right.
Nobody's going to, it is just grass. I mean, we joke about it being grass,
Right.
and not that our job isn't important and those things, but it isn't life and death,
Right. Yep.
So,
Yep. It's a lot easier to take these days than what it used to be.
yeah.
By far.
Oh, yeah.
By far.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and with parts availability, and I mean, you never know what, you know, and it's like dealing with a budget. I'm like, I don't know what's going to break today or tomorrow or this month. I'll try to stay within budget, but if this piece breaks, do you want to fix it? This is your call.
Either gets fixed or don't.
Yep, that's right. Well, how do you deal with that person? You got that person on your crew?
Oh gosh. Actually, we've got a pretty darn good crew right now.
That's good. Yeah, awesome.
I don't know what our seasonal health's going to look like right now, but right now our staff, they can follow directions, and in most cases, if they don't understand, they're going to come to you and be like, hey, is this the right way? Is this the wrong way? Which way do we really need to be doing this? Because I want to make sure I get this right. But I don't really have any complaints about this crew that we have right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No,
good for you. I mean, I could kind of say the same thing now. We just got our H2B labor back in town, and it's the same crew that we had last year.
Oh, okay.
And so that is awesome. I mean,
That
it's
helps
like
out a lot.
turnkey. I
Yes.
think we have one new guy out of, how many? There's 10 there. So one new guy out of 10. So,
Right.
I mean, it is awesome.
That's a
And
good way to start.
that crew, even last year, it was the first time they had been with us at our club, but they'd worked at another club the previous year. So, I mean, they got it. A lot of the things they already understood. And we got a couple of them that speak really good English. So, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really a godsend, that program for us, because those guys really like to work. They don't
Yes, they do.
mind working, you know?
Yes, they do.
And a lot of the labor we hire, you know, in our area, most of them don't really like to work.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, it's just the way they were brought up and that
kind
kind
of
of, you
what
know,
we run
more
into also, yeah.
more
Yep.
city type kids,
Yep.
and nothing that there's wrong with that, but they just don't quite like to work
Yep.
the same.
No, it's totally different nowadays. That's for
Yes, it
sure.
is.
Get ready for tips and tricks.
What kind of tips and tricks you got you want to share with us?
Tips and tricks. Well, I know one thing I like to do. I get a new piece of equipment in the shop, have it be a used piece or whatever it may be, new to me, new to us. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, the first thing it gets is the lift. I put it on the lift. I'm looking through it, make sure wires are ran correctly, make sure, especially hydraulic lines are ran correctly. Try to correct as much as you can. Obviously, you can't see it all, but I like to go through, and some of the fuse panels are generally just right there in the open, collecting dust and moisture. I like to go through and put just a dab of dielectric grease on them. Try to keep that corrosion to a minimum, and anything preventative
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
as much as possible. It's kind of how I like to start out anyway.
No, that's really good. And I'm kind of thinking maybe you picked that up from your dad.
Oh, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, maybe a little bit of that. That's awesome, though. And I mean, it's a really good point. I'm glad you bring it up. I do think that there's other technicians that do that, but I know there's a lot of newer people in the industry, and they might not ever thought, like, hey, let's get this brand new piece of equipment on the lift and look it over.
Look it over. You got to get to know it.
Yep, get to know it, because the person at the factory that was putting that piece of equipment together, you know, is a factory worker, and nothing wrong with factory workers,
Right.
but they make mistakes just like me and you make mistakes
Yep.
every day.
Exactly.
So, you know, look it over.
Yep. Nothing wrong with double checking.
Yep, nothing at all. Yeah, and like the guy marking all the fittings with the paint pen, you know, he can have a bad day too and
Absolutely.
not get a fitting tight, and he marked it.
Or it can be a Friday at 5 o'clock. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, right. You never know. Any other tips and tricks?
Something else I like to do, one of my favorite tools is in my pocket all the time. It's my phone. I go out on the course, and as, we spoke before, going out there and checking the cut, the after cut. I got my prism with me. I go out there and check everything with my prism, from greens to tees to fairways. Also get my phone out there and get the best picture I possibly can of, the leaf blade and the quality of cut to that leaf blade.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I bring my phone in, hook it to my computer, pull that picture up. Sometimes they're good pictures, sometimes they're not, but, it gives you some idea of, are we mowing too fast? Are the reels not cutting quite as good as they possibly should?
Mm-hmm.
We ripping, tearing, just trying to stay ahead of any problems that might come along.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And so Jim Nedden's episode just dropped the 1st of February, and he brought up there in the episode, and he had talked about it before. He always carried a microscope with him,
Yeah.
like a 10 power, 15 power microscope.
Yep.
And then he said he had a really nice one that he could hook up to his computer, and, all this cool stuff that he done for years when he was on site and visiting people. But now he has his cell phone and a little piece of 2x4, and he uses the piece of 2x4 and lays it on the ground and lays the cell phone on top of the 2x4. And that way he keeps the distance the same on all his pictures and uses it that way. And you almost don't need the microscope anymore.
Right.
Because, yeah, you can really zoom
That's a
in
good
there.
idea.
But yeah, I thought that was an excellent idea that he passed along. Yeah, what all are you looking for when you're looking in the prism?
Evenness, from reel to reel. Make sure that's true. trying to see how many leaf blades are left behind. How hairy is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it,
I mean, stragglers are there.
Is it a fine cut? Is it kind of a rough cut? Do we need to speed the reels up, speed them, slow them down, the unit itself too, or maybe I need to go in and grind? One or the other,
Yeah.
Just trying to get the best playability out of the greens mainly, that we can without, having to go down to 110 or 90 or whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the height up as high as we can without impacting ball speed and playability.
Yeah. I think a lot of people too get caught up in that number and they just want to go as low as they can. And
Yeah,
it's not necessarily necessary.
I'm a firm believer, at least at our course anyway. Other courses with different style greens may play different. You need to go a little lower or whatever. I'm definitely a firm believer. We're at like 120 right now. I don't like it at 120. I like it around 125, 130. That's not my call.
Right.
But we're trucking along pretty good right now. We have a combination of mowing and rolling. So I think we have a pretty good program going right now that we're maintaining the same ball speed on a normal day, outside of humid days with rain and whatnot. But I think it's working out pretty good right now. And, obviously the higher the cut, the easier and better it's going to be on the equipment. It's going to be a little healthier on the greens. So I've always been, well, say I've always been, but the last several years definitely promote higher cuts.
Yeah. No, that's good. Good stuff. Any other ones?
I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Okay. No, that's good. Both of those are excellent. And I appreciate you sharing them with our audience. What else do you want to talk about? Anything else come to mind?
The one thing that I really look back on is back in 96 when we did our course renovation. If you're in the industry, you have to go through some kind of renovation in order to appreciate, what you have and what it takes to get to that point as far as a constant good playing course. And when you start seeing bulldozers and scrapers and backhoes and semi trucks coming in and out of your place and all you see is dirt, it's like, this place is over. We're never going to be a golf course again. But as time goes on, you start slowly seeing the progress, and again, kind of with the equipment, you kind of get to know your course a little bit better. And, as far as the irrigation and wiring and why is this mount here, what kind of drainage are we going to put here, and you start seeing that stuff and it all just kind of, starts going together kind of like an erector set. And before you know it, you got green grass, and a few months later, you got people out playing on it. And it's just like, wow, this is really cool.
Pretty quick transformation, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. And I do know one thing that I'd never want to do again, and that's lay another roll of sod.
Okay. Didn't enjoy that, huh?
No, that was probably the worst part of it.
Yeah.
You get done with one semi and then comes another. It's like, oh no.
So
Here
did
we go
y'all
again.
lay a lot of the sod in-house?
We did they had their crew laying sod, but our crew, we have 4 or 5 people working at the time. We jumped in to kind of speed up the process some.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, my course, we're under a full renovation right now. We closed Labor Day and we're supposed to reopen this Labor Day.
Oh, okay.
And everything seems to be going pretty good right now. But yeah, I mean, all I'm looking at is dirt.
Yeah.
It's just dirt and dirt and mud after it rains. And
Yeah.
the Georgia red clay. I'm sick of all that already. Yeah. I mean, I got, a layer of dust on everything in the shop. And
gosh,
that's not fun.
No.
And then we end up doing a lot of stuff in-house too, even though we have a construction company in there doing the renovation. We've already put in 700 feet of 30-inch drain pipe.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but I got a John Deere 160D excavator. So, I mean, it's like, I guess, a 20,000 pound machine. I mean, it's a big excavator. It's, it's not a mini excavator. There's a few sizes up. So anyway, we got that, and, they're digging ditches, and now we're putting in more drainage. And I don't remember how many feet of this drainage we're putting in. I'm like, how is this not included in the project? But anyway, we're doing it in-house, and then we're doing all the seeding too. So we'll have a lot
we did do some of the hydro seeding and seeding on the greens. We did do that in-house.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of native areas. So we're doing all the seed for the native areas. And then our greens will be Bermuda. So we'll sprig those hopefully in June.
Oh, okay.
And then we can start mowing some grass. I'm actually ready to mow some grass. I didn't know if I would ever say that.
Really well. It becomes a point where it's like, gosh, I just want to mow grass. Come on.
Yep. Yeah, and then the other thing I'm concerned about is what all are we going to mow that's not grass? How many sod staples and irrigation flags, and that's going to be the fun part.
You're definitely got to find sod staple. That's
for sure.
That's a given. That is a given.
Are you ready to do some rapid fire?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm going to have to say Rocky.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. Yes. Awesome. The first one?
I like the first and second one, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But the first one's probably my favorite, yeah.
Good stuff. What would be your last meal?
Last meal, probably a smoked brisket.
Okay.
Are
you smoking it or somebody else?
I've done a few, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at it, but they turned out okay, at least for my taste. But yeah, I enjoy using the smoker. I don't use it to the extent I would like to, but it's enjoyable.
Awesome. What kind of smoker you got?
It's you would ask me, and I'm going to draw a blank on the name.
That's okay.
It's gold. I know that.
It's gold. All right.
Yep. I can't think of the name of it right off.
Tiger. I don't even remember what that is.
It's a pellet.
Yeah. Traeger. That's it. Traeger. Are they gold?
I don't know if those are gold, but that's not it.
Okay, that's not it.
Walmart. You get them at Walmart or whatever, but
Oklahoma Joe or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pit Boss? Is that
Pit Boss? Yeah. Pit Boss is that's a name.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. No, I used to do a good bit of barbecuing, but I fell off the wagon. Just got out of it. I still really enjoy eating it.
Oh yeah.
I love eating it.
That's the best part.
Just hadn't been cooking as much lately. What are you most proud of besides your family?
Oh boy. Just the fact that I've been able to hold out that long, 30 years at one spot, actually 30 plus years, at one spot, and just been able to, grow with the place, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty rewarding to see the progress through the years, not only the course, myself, and obviously some of the people that I work with. Like I said, just rewarding to just kind of look back and, this is where we started. This is where we're at now. And I think we've done a good job.
No, that's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. And I'm sure you've had some younger people come through there and move on in their careers.
We've been very fortunate, especially at our assistant. Some of our assistants, I would say probably 80% of them have moved on to superintendent jobs right out of the, from leaving us.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good.
So it's been a pretty good turnout, I would say.
That's awesome. Yep. Passing it on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
I love it. That's good stuff, man. Well, I really appreciate you doing this and your time. You want to tell the listeners an email address? You got a social media?
Most of the time I'm on Facebook, but I'm also on some of those equipment maintenance, golf course maintenance, Facebook pages.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really I wouldn't say I contribute a lot, but usually when someone has a problem on there, by the time I get on there, somebody's already got the answer on there. So
Yeah.
generally beat me to the punch. But email is equiptechcrip@live.com.
Okay.
I'd be more than happy to help anybody out, whatever I can help out with. But preventative maintenance.
There you go. Preventive maintenance. I love it. Well, thank you again, Chris, so much for being on the podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I appreciate your time, and we'll see you around.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Drew.
Thank you so much for listening to the Real Turf Techs podcast. I hope you learned something today. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any topics you would like to discuss or you'd like to be a guest, find us on Twitter at Real Turf Techs. See you, bye.